Nightly Musers, followers of the pod, faithful few and hopeful many. This is Anchor by Spotify. If you haven't heard about it, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's the very platform that allows me to give you what I give you on the nightly. So let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And it gives you the ability to distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally FREE free. So here's where you come in. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.fm to get started. Thank you very much. Peace. What's up, Nightly Musers? It's your boy coming out with more content. I've had the Ebenezer's episode, I believe. I think I talked about that. At this point, we're pushing 60, so it's hard to remember everything I've discussed 2 months straight of this, man. Yeah. I have a pebble really, that's on my nightstand that I wrote God Still Heals and You Are My Son, I Love You, which I'm writing that in like God saying that to me. So it's actually I am your son and you love me is really what, when I say that, when I read that, that's what I mean. And talked about, where that came from, the Adam Project. I definitely talked at this episode. The Adam Project and just that idea of God, of that relationship being truly expressed through God and His creation, but also of sonship and how, parent to child relationship in an ideal world, there's nothing that's going to change where you came from, that you came from me. And by that truth alone, there is nothing that'll change the fact that'll change the love that I have for you. Like with my sisters, I mean, obviously estrangement exists because of the fact that we don't live in a perfect world. But when I talk about my sisters and the love that I have for them, nothing will change the DNA that we share. We will always be connected by that reality, and therefore no achievement, no failure, no high or low, nothing will make me more or less proud. Nothing will make me love them better. That is how I feel. And that is what I want to believe. That is the reality I want to exist in with my family. And the reality of life is that that's not always possible. And so today's episode is just about that piece of the Ebenezer, the stone that I wrote, the stone of remembrance, that I try to recite to myself often, is God still heals. The reason I say that is because I think a lot of times when you get almost desensitized to the problems of the world, you can get almost numb to the fact that this isn't the way the world is supposed to be, and it can make you calloused and hard-hearted and extremely pessimistic. And I have to remind myself when life is hard, because it felt like at a point life was just hard in a series of events that makes it feel like everything around me is just not what I want it to be. And so I hate it when people do that. Put your indicator on. Anyway, man, I think this is the first time y'all have felt that was my dialed back road rage. Anyway, it's easy to forget that prayer works, that God heals, and that God is powerful enough to change circumstances and situations. Now, he's not a genie in a bottle, and he doesn't do it all the time, though sometimes I do wish that he would. That isn't the reality of things, and it's easy at times to forget that God is healer, that he is the great physician, and that just because situations may seem untenable, beyond repair, just because that may be the case right now doesn't mean that that's always how it will be. And at times the faith part is not necessarily like, I don't know. I think I view faith as believing that the change is possible. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the assurance of things unseen. So when I think about that, I think about obviously I think about, circumstances. And to be honest, I struggle with this, and Timmy gives me, not grief, but he always, encourages me to be vulnerable, and I'm not at a place where I can be as vulnerable as I want to be about the entire circumstance, and for that I apologize. But what I do want to be vulnerable about is this. We'll talk about the "You Are My Son, I Love You" piece. I wouldn't say that I'm a words of affirmation person in terms of my love language. Quality time, and I'm a dude, so I guess physical touch. Now, not every guy's physical touch, but that's usually the assumption. But quality time and physical touch are my top two for sure. And I just want to snuggle. Like, half the reason that I want to be in a relationship is just because I want somebody to snuggle with. And I can't even say that I just want to snuggle on Christmas time. Like, I want to snuggle 365 days of the year. Get home, let's snuggle, baby. Let's snuggle, baby. Anyway, I want quality time, and the reason why I had an episode saying, you know, when I reference people, for the most part, I always, in parentheses in the title, say I love you. Like, it's important for people to know that I love them. And it's not, sometimes people say, like, we overuse that word. And there are, unfortunately, English is a language that doesn't do well with, there are different types, like love is just a blanket word that we have. Love can be romantic, love can be friend, love can be familial. And in Greek, there are different types of, there's phileo, which is brotherly love. There's agape, which is, agape, crap. Agape is that unconditional love? Anyway, there are different types of love in Greek. Eros, I think, is romantic. And, there's 4 of them, and now, obviously, I can't remember the 4th. But the point is, being somebody who, I guess, I'm in a good place with my struggle, but who has actively struggled with pornography for a very long time. You doubt so many things. I've doubted my worthiness to be in a relationship, to be a father, to be a husband. I always say those in the wrong order. To be a husband and a father. To be a worship leader. It's always made me question my worthiness. And the reality of the matter is that I'm not worthy. God makes me worthy. Jesus makes me worthy. Therefore, he says, so I am. But the question of, like, does God love me, yet alone even like me, that's a question I ask. Lord, I used to ask. I don't ask that anymore. But it's still, like, you know, the moment, especially with, like, I'm not, no disrespect to AA or SA or any of the anonymous type of support groups, or I don't know if they're called support groups, but sobriety type groups. I know that I've had, whether it's a compulsion or an addiction to pornography, like, for a very long time. I don't call myself a porn addict, not because it would be inaccurate, but because I don't want to make my identity my struggle. And I realize that I'm not an expert in those other types of groups or organizations. But what I don't like is that feeling of, this is who I will always be, and whenever I mess up, it's back to square one. God declares me free. Jesus has set me free. Whom the Son sets free is free indeed. Therefore, it's a matter of me learning how to walk in that freedom, and that's a journey, it's a process. But I want to walk as somebody who is free, not somebody who is still in chains. And I mean, Juneteenth, the celebration of it was the emancipation, all that stuff had already happened, but people didn't know. And so they were still operating as slaves until they caught wind that they were actually free. Therefore, they were already declared free, but were still operating in a mindset because they didn't know. And I don't want to be that. And I don't know. I think I'm at a place where I want to, I'm your son and you love me, is a statement that I hold on to, because that is, it doesn't matter. It's not a license to sin more. It's not a license to live outside of his will for me, but it's a license to exist and rest in the fact that there is nothing more or less that I can do that will change his love for me, because my love or his love for me has already been established by the fact that I'm his son, that he took his time when he created me, that he formed me, knit me together in my mother's womb, and loves me and calls me his child and loves me unconditionally. And I have to remember that. My friend Brendan Abernathy has a song called You Are Loved, and unfortunately, I only know that you are loved. You are loved. It's a great song, very catchy, and man, what a sweet reminder to know that you are loved beyond measure and nothing will ever change that. It's something to rest in and something to celebrate. And yeah, I think it's funny, I wasn't even planning on talking about this, but if anything, this episode is just a testament that hope is real, and there's always hope. And if you are in a situation where you are feeling hopeless, find hope in other people's. Like, I was in a situation and sometimes feel like I still am in a hopeless situation in certain areas of my life. And God just reminded me today that sometimes it takes doing things you may not want to do to experience, taste, see, feel a glimmer of that hope, and to remind. So oh my gosh, I can't speak right now. A glimpse of that hope. You have to sometimes do something you're not fully comfortable with to see it. And when you see it, it's a reminder that God still heals, that God sees your situation. And no, I'm not promising that it's going to change, but I am promising that it is possible. And that belief if it's enough to get you to sleep at night and to wake you up in the morning and give you something to live for, then that is worth it to me. And so, ooh-wee. Hope. You are loved. You are his child, and he loves you. So I encourage you again, find your quotables, your truths, your stones of remembrance, and keep hope alive. Shout out Lo-Fly. This is the Nightly Muse, and of course, just in case you doubted, still got that work in, because I'm that dude. We love you. I love you. Ain't no we, it's just me. I mean, me and Lo-Fly love you, because, he's a part of the pod. We'll talk to you soon. Another 20-minuter in the books. Peace.